Tonight, tensions with Iran are at a breaking point. President Trump has set a hard deadline tomorrow night. He says reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face massive strikes on power plants and bridges. Also tonight, a deadly new threat inside of jails and prisons. Inmates dying after contact with drug-laced paper smuggled through the mail, hard to detect and linked to multiple deaths.
The Isiah Factor Uncensored starts now.
And welcome to the Factor Uncensored. Thank you for joining us tonight. Time is ticking and the world is watching. President Trump has set a hard deadline tomorrow night, demanding Iran reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face devastating strikes. We're talking power plants, bridges, critical infrastructure, targets that could ignite a much bigger war. And today, a press conference, the president doubling down.
They have till tomorrow. Now we'll see what happens. I can tell you they're negotiating, we think, in good faith. We're going to find out. We're getting the help of some incredible countries that want this to be ended because it affects them also. A lot of people are affected by this. But we're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And after that, they're going to have no bridges. They're going to have no power plants. Stone Ages, yeah. Stone Ages.
The big question, is this a negotiation strategy or the countdown to war? Joining us now, Dr. David Branham, professor at the University of Houston downtown, and Iranian-American Brian Taif. Glad to have you both here. So if the Iranians don't adhere to this deadline, what does this mean for President Trump if he doesn't take any action?
Yeah, his hard deadlines are usually not hard deadlines.
They're moving
they move
targets.
Constantly. And the reason why is because he doesn't really want to do this. This is going to be very costly for the whole world if he does it, and it won't be very popular. So, you know, he's hoping that the threat itself will help them open the strait and allow the oil to come through. But if not, he's making these threats. The one thing that he has said on several occasions is that the Strait of Hormuz is not only a United States problem. It's a world problem.
Right.
Europe gets their oil through there and so forth. So, you know, he's made the argument that the United States shouldn't be the only one here trying to open up the strait. And I agree with him. This is not a United States problem. So I'm not sure whether he's going to make good on this threat or not.
But other countries have come together and they've had meetings. They're looking at the diplomatic approach.
And they're making
those
agreements.
Countries have not invited the United States.
Right, they're making agreements. They're making sure their crude is going to come through, and they're going to open the strait for them, but not for others. So they are negotiating independent of the United States and the war. So that's another dynamic going on here. I'm a little surprised that the strait has been something that was sort of ignored before the war started. They jumped in, and then all of a sudden it seemed like they were surprised about this. This has been a problem for decades, and so I'm surprised that they don't have a plan on what to do on this. And I will be surprised if the United States follows through and Trump actually makes, you know, obliterates all the oil in Iran with this threat. I'll be surprised if he does it, but it'll be costly if he does it too.
And now the Strait of Hormuz is now a major player, those controlling it. Why would they give up this leverage?
They're not going to give up this leverage, but as part of the giving up and saying, okay, we're going to let the ships through, they're going to get what they want in return, and that's going to be an end to the war. That's going to be probably some kind of reparation for what's happened, and that's the leverage they have, that they won't give up until they get that, because they've had control of the strait for decades. So they're not going to give it up.
All right, Brian, let's put you to work. There has been essentially a media blackout in Iran, and many of the people there are not getting the communications that we're getting from the White House, from the president, or are they? And what does it mean to the people there from your perspective?
That's a great question, Isiah. And in fact, they are. They have satellites all over Iran where they have Iranian channels who tell them about the news that's happening around the globe unfiltered. And they have those channels communicating the messages from President Trump, from Prime Minister Netanyahu, from the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, all of those communications are being sent to the Iranian people via satellite today.
And so when they get this message, who are they pulling for, the United States or Iran?
The United States. We saw this 2 nights ago when they flooded the streets of Iran, so the IRGC members could not get to the soldiers that we had who was in Iran hiding in a place. They literally blocked the roads so the IRGC cannot travel to get him. So the people of Iran are sending videos out. Even with the broken down internet, videos are still coming out. There's a lot of people that have a Starlink thanks to Elon Musk. They're using those channels. Their houses are bombed, and they're literally, the next video it is when the dust is settling. Thank you, President Trump. Keep on hitting this regime till we are free.
Now, you still have family members and friends there. Are you concerned if these threats come to pass, come to fruition in Iran?
Absolutely. The human life is too valuable not to be concerned by it. But at the same time, this is a regime that's been killing their own people by mass numbers. Not that they've killed their own people, they have killed American soldiers, American citizens. Everybody around the globe has suffered at the hands of the Islamic Republic. So how much are we willing to suffer to end this regime so we're done with this once and for all?
All right, gentlemen, we want to thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. Next, we'll continue this conversation with, of course, loud Angela Box and State Representative Ron Brink. We love you, Angela. And later, a deadly new threat behind bars. Drugs smuggled in on paper, now linked to inmate deaths. A conversation you don't want to miss.
Do you want
Welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Tensions with Iran are rising, and the deadline from President Donald Trump is quickly approaching. The warning is clear: make a deal or face consequences. But tonight, the big question: does this protect America or push us closer to conflict? Americans are divided, and so are these two. Joining us, Angela Box and State Representative Ron Reynolds. Representative Reynolds, are we headed in the right direction with President Trump's leadership? Your thoughts?
Absolutely not. This is a colossal failure. President Trump has taken us in the wrong direction. He said we're not going to be entangled in wars, and here we are, another war. Inflation is going up. $4 gasoline, groceries are going up, and senseless Americans are being killed because of this war that never should have started in the first place. So yes, the President Trump is wrong. This is his ego. He's an egotistical maniac that is power hungry, and the only people that are benefiting are the people betting on wars by investing in war products. So this is wrong, absolutely wrong.
All right, Angela, let's hear from you.
Well, I mean, he didn't drop off $400 million in pallets of cash to the Iranian mullahs like your guy Barack Obama did. So I prefer this tactic. And I think what we're seeing right now is Trump is airing out these mullahs. He is airing them out for the world to see. And I think the Trump foreign policy right now is equal parts FAFO and I wish you would, okay? Because right now, Trump is basically saying, you have until 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, and then all bets are off. And I'm telling you right now, the left had a meltdown when President Trump had similar language with Kim Jong-un, North Korea.
We know you're talking about.
Thank you. In the first Trump administration, and we all know that famous picture of them meeting at the DMZ. I think we're going to see a similar situation here. Trump is, you know, the press conference today was really something because everyone's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's like, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. And they're like, well, are you going to extend the conflict or are you going to wrap it up? Because I'm not telling you. And we now know also that someone in the Pentagon leaked the information to the IRGC about how to find our downed pilot. And when they find that leaker, that dude's going down for treason. It's not going to be cute.
Isiah, Easter, the most holiest of holy days, President Trump sends out a message with expletives, effing this and effing that.
Amazing.
This is a man that calls himself a Christian, but is nothing but a coward. How can anyone proclaiming to be Christ-like talk like this man, and then at the end of his profanity statement says praise be to Allah as a slap in the face to Muslims? I think this man is evil and corrupt. I think he will be charged with war crimes if he goes through what he said he will. He's talking about bombing bridges, bombing power plants so that the people of Iran will not have access to power, access to transportation and food. This man is pure evil.
And what about that, Angela?
I mean,
bombing and destroying critical infrastructure. Many say that is a war crime.
As Brian Taif said in the segment before, he is an Iranian a dissident. He came here. He knows of what he speaks. He knows that the people in Iran, and President Trump said the same thing, they are begging him to continue because for 47 years, the Iranian people have been tormented by these Islamist freaks. And never forget that Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terror around the world. And like I said, Barack Obama gave them a pathway to a nuclear weapon. And Trump's like, that ain't going to happen because we're not dealing with sane people. We're dealing with radical Islamists. And I love the goosing he did. Praise be to Allah. I thought it was
President
epic.
Trump is acting just like Putin in Russia. This is a dictator that is evil, and he should be charged with war crimes. He should be impeached for these actions. This is un-American. This is unauthorized from Congress. This is a senseless war, and innocent Americans are being killed. We've already lost 13 people. Thank God those military airmen were rescued, but we've already lost 13 people, and countless innocent civilians in Iran have been killed already, Isiah. This is blood on President Trump's hands.
Last 30 seconds.
Well, I mean, you know, last weekend we saw the No Kings rally with the losers out there, the feminists, you know, they're down for the struggle for the Iranian women, waving the communist flag, waving the flags of the IRGC. This is the regime that throws gays off roofs and makes women wear head-to-toe beekeeper outfits. So spare me your righteous indignation.
All right. We want to thank you both for joining us. Still ahead here on The Factor, we discussed this story last week, and now there's a new twist. Former NBA player Jaden Ivy going viral again, this time for street preaching in Chicago. We'll talk about that next and what it all means.
This program is being brought to you by Jim Adler, the Texas Hammer.
And welcome back. Some breaking news tonight. Rapper Offset involved in a shooting near Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Florida. Authorities say gunfire broke out, sparking a large police response. Offset was shot, but sources say his injuries are not life-threatening. This comes just years after his Migos group mate Takeoff was shot and killed in Houston. Right now, it's unclear what led to the latest shooting or who was responsible. This is a developing story, and of course, we'll keep you updated here on The Factor. Now on to a Factor follow-up. We first told you about this story last week, and now there's a new twist. NBA free agent Jaden Ivy back in the headlines, this time for street preaching in Chicago. Some say, what's wrong with that? New video going viral online. This comes after controversy over his past comments and now more questions about what's really going on with the player. Joining me to talk about it, pastor and journalist Dr. Ruth Allen Olison and former college basketball player and youth activist Brandon Johnson, along with therapist Carissa Barrow. Glad to have you both here, all of you here on The Factor Uncensored. Dr. Ruth, your thoughts about this. What's your assessment? Has he gone too far when it's non-stop preaching to people, at people, people who may not even want it?
Well,
biased. Go ahead, Dr.
I'm
Ruth.
a preacher. I'm a preacher. But if he is going to preach about Jesus and about Christ, I don't see it being done in that way that it is forced upon people. Now, I did see the part of him on the street where he said, "Blessed are the pure in heart." And so I just preached that a few weeks ago. I don't think I'm going to be too judgmental about that. But however, I look at what he is doing and how he's saying what he's saying in, I'm going to say this, inappropriate places and inappropriate things that are religious in nature. And it seems like he is engaged in what is called hyper-religiosity, which is a mental situation. And so he may need help. He may need some treatment, not just judgment.
Got it. And that's, Carissa, that's where you come in. Yeah. Your thoughts about that, would you give him the same assessment, or?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, one, just by off of the video, it's really hard to clinically evaluate, on those factors. But what we do know in the science is that when big transitions happen, especially when it comes from transitions in career, on top of, identity stress, and then also of additional stresses that might be happening, what we do know is that that does form a perfect storm for people to really lean into meaning making, trying to find their own identity, but then sometimes that's also leaning into their own spirituality or even beliefs. And so even from this perspective, I think a bigger question is, not necessarily what might be going on for him, but the bigger question is, how is this impacting his relationships? How is this impacting his home life? Because the bigger question is this behavior sustainable and is also supportive of his own goals, especially in his own relational?
I think he recently posted a video of him and his wife essentially saying to people, she's still with me, she's standing by me. So, Brandon, we know prayer, religion is a part of athletics. People pray before the game, after the game, during the game, in the locker room. But is there a situation where it can be just too much for teammates?
For me personally, big in my spiritual world, and I think the approach is, it depends on what room you're in. I think respecting other people's environments, respecting other people's wishes, what they do in their personal lives, I think it is a boundary. I think everybody have their own religions. When you walk into the locker room, for me personally, I knew other guys that believe in other things. I don't, let's say, force myself or my beliefs and my opinions on them. I do allow them their own space. Now, me setting the tone in my world and them coming to my world, and now I'm able to give them the gospel, which I believe in, I think that's okay. But when you're dealing with so many different personalities, characters, and so many different people, I think the main thing is respecting the boundaries and just, hey, listen, this is what I believe in. This is what time it's a time and place for it. And I think sometimes at that facility, if they don't believe in that, you got to respect it. And I think he kind of went past the limit as far as respecting everyone and understanding the brand he's up under. It's like, hey, it depends on what house you're in. You're going to have to respect those rules. And let's just say the NBA made him respect and honor it, and he has to understand from a marketing standpoint, hey, I cannot go this far understanding what contract I'm up under. And so when you walk into that situation, it's just boundaries when it comes down to religion in general.
Do you see any other professional organization, that being NBA, picking him up after this with this display, this very public display we're seeing now?
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of see three different approaches. Even when we think about Trump, this kid has been waived in a situation, and I believe our president has done numerous of things. And so when you're looking at it in that space, this kid made a decision, made a mistake. And let's say if my other perspective is, if this was LeBron, Durant, or Curry, would they be waived from the team? They would. I don't think if they made that statement, they would be waived. And so at the end of the day, I do think he deserved another chance. And my third point is, I don't think he's making revenue. They don't look at him as a person making revenue for the NBA, and so it's easy to waive him. But I do think a different perspective as far as his ability to play the game. I do think he can play the game at a high level and deserve another chance. I don't think that decision should. I think he needs to apologize publicly, but I think they should give him another chance for sure.
All right, we'll have more with Dr. Ruth and Brandon Johnson after the break, so don't go anywhere. Stay with us here on the Factor Uncensored. All righty, let's get back into our discussion with Dr. Ruth, Brandon Johnson, and Carissa Barrow. Dr. Ruth, wrap us up here, your assessment of the situation and how best to approach it for him and others that may be out there in the same situation.
Well, I think he needs to get some help. I really seeing the way he's saying the things that he's saying, some of the outbursts that he's making, he probably does need to get some help. And to Brandon's point, he's not LeBron James. And unless he calms down, he's not going to get a chance to be. He's not bringing in money to the NBA. And he doesn't want to cut himself off from making money, being who he could be, just because of this mouth.
All right, Carissa, your thoughts. And there are a lot of people on social media and in the public saying, keep doing what you're doing. Could that be to his own detriment if he follows what those people say, knowing that it's going to ruin his career?
Absolutely, and as you know, they have pointed out, especially when it comes to money or even just long-term career goals. I think the biggest question for him is, is what we're doing being able to meet those goals in a very, very sustainable and supportive way, and especially for his systems and support systems around him. Is a lot of these behaviors can absolutely be maybe aligned in values in different way. But if you're also starting to see sudden shifts in behavior, even maybe a sudden decrease in needing to sleep or even eat, that should also maybe be a flag that there might be something bigger here that's driving this behavior change. And so the biggest question there is what we're doing supporting your long-term goals in a very sustainable way?
Now, Brandon, one of the things he said last week, and I don't know if he still stands by this, but many of the people who supported him since he was released have kind of dissipated. They've disappeared on him. Your thoughts in a situation like that? Is that a sign to him to get it together, or is it a sign, look, those people weren't meant for you in the beginning?
Me being a former athlete, college player, and on the brink of the NBA, obviously my story comes from a decision made where I lost everything on my opportunity with the NBA. So for me, understanding the decision that can impact your life, I'm big on my spiritual journey. And so when I went through what I went through, I'm looking at Ivy as, hey, let God lead it. I think it's his purpose. I think when people are disappearing, you figure out who you are, and I respect the journey. I pray that he don't make another decision that can alter his life, obviously. But when I'm praying to my God, I'm looking at it from a standpoint, hey, listen, sometimes it gets lonely, because my purpose now, I'm able to go across the world and speak to so many different people due to my decision. So the same thing that tore my life apart has created the biggest purpose of my life. And so I praise the young man, but also it still comes with knowledge and education. And so I pray that he's able to make better decisions in a sense. But I do respect the journey of God, and sometimes it get lonely, but who knows what that journey looks like after this session that he's going through.
All right. We want to thank you all for joining us here on the Factor Uncensored for your valuable insight. Coming up next, a deadly drug trend hiding in plain sight. Not pills, not powder, paper laced with toxic chemicals killing inmates. Smuggled through the mail. We'll talk about that next.
You're watching the Isiah Factor Uncensored.
And welcome back to the second half hour, the Factor Uncensored. A disturbing and deadly trend is setting off the alarm inside prison facilities around the country. Inmates dying after being exposed to drug-laced papers smuggled through the mail. It's hard to detect, extremely potent and spreading very fast. Now the big question, how is this getting inside and how do we stop it before more lives are lost? Joining us now, prison reform advocates Dominique Leonard and Anthony Sanchez, along with therapist Carissa Barrow, who's joining us again. I think 2 people have died so far again this year. We've had one in the previous. Anthony, hearing about that, have you ever seen, you recently released 4 years, have you ever seen anything like this before?
So I know you made a statement right now saying that only 2 people have passed away due to the epidemic of substance abuse in TDCJ or Harris County or prisons all over America. Well, I'm here to say that people die on a day-to-day basis because of this epidemic, because of paper tune, K2, and what.
So do you think we're not getting all of the statistics that are being released by these facilities?
No, I'm telling you, because I was incarcerated 10.5 years on the worst prisons in Texas, on Ferguson, Clemens, Gibb Lewis unit. People die every day on K2, but it's not being publicized to the masses. The police brutality, the substance abuse that's happening because everybody suffers from addiction, and it's because, you ever heard of reactional suicide? Are you familiar with Huey P. Newton?
Yeah.
We're reacting to circumstances and adversities that we face within the underserved community. Everybody preaches change. How do we stop substance abuse? It starts with the children, but we grow up in broken households, so we're looking at a form of escape. So we go to drugs, violence, and especially in prison, there is no equality. If an officer tells you to stop and strip you naked, tell you to turn around, he's sexually assaulting you. So these people want a form of escape. And the way these drugs are being brought in is through the mail, just like you said. Texas Department of Criminal Justice has tried to make everything electronic, but the truth is, inmates, they go with the times and they think of ways to still get it in, either through officers.
Yep, man will find a way to get it in. Really quick, let's bring in Dominique here. In Harris County, we recently had a situation like this, maybe a year or 2 ago, where an attorney was bringing it in. So when you have people with credibility like that and the right to be in the jail committing this kind of crime, how do we stop it? Anthony mentioned they're trying to go electronic, but somehow, some way, there's going to be paper in there.
So here's the catch. If you go electronic, that's one thing, right? 90% of the drugs and anything illegal coming inside the prison is coming through correctional officers, period. Because we're not free. I did 8.5 years on a life sentence. We're not free. Right now, overdose is the highest 3% of death in prison right now, period. You can't get past that. But here's the catch though, right? Nobody incarcerated is getting the high they really want to get it if they're on drugs. So once they get released, now they want to go find the high. After they're released, that's the highest percentage within a week to a month of them overdosing on drugs. Because again, everybody want to get high in prison who does drugs, right? If they're already on drugs, they get to prison, they can't get the high they really want to get. So now they say, hey, if you bring it in because you're a correctional officer, I give you X amount. That money looks good to a correctional officer who ain't making that kind of money.
Right.
So now, hey, you're giving me $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to bring in some drugs? That correctional officer's gonna do it because that guy, he can't get free. If he's in lockup, you can't get anything back there unless the officer allows it to get back there.
And Carissa, from your perspective as a counselor, therapist out there, when individuals feel hopelessness when they first get there, not even close to being released, this is an outlet, the drugs, right?
Absolutely, because you know what we see and hear is hopelessness, but in the body it registers as cortisol, stress, everything from firing up your prefrontal cortex to even to your amygdala. And even at the body, when it's registering it, substances of all kinds, synthetic or homegrown, is going to help with decreasing that stress, with decreasing that cortisol. And so it is going to bring this alleviation of escape. shape, of being able to regulate, being able to cope, especially in environments where it might not be shaped to be able to house that type of support. And so especially whenever it comes to these type of environments and being able to have access to then something where, wow, I can actually de-stress momentarily with low education on what this drugs does, because especially whenever, with the kind of drug epidemic, and especially whenever it comes to synthetics, the thing about these papers is that we don't know exactly the combination, we don't know the dosages that's happening in them. All they know is this is access, and I have alleviation from that.
And they just lace them.
And Anthony, do you think the public, that being people in the free world, don't care enough in order for them to stamp this out in prisons or address it?
Yes, I believe that the public don't care about inmates or the minorities that are incarcerated, that there is no equality in the system, that there needs to be better reform. But for real change to come when it comes to substance abuse or crime, it starts with the youth, because the truth is, all hope is lost for our current generation. If they have addiction, they just need to have faith, in my opinion.
All right. We want to thank you all for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. We appreciate your time. And, of course, still ahead of viral Houston hotspot shut down by the city, the owner fought back and got his doors reopened. His message to other small business owners out there next. Welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Raids and inspections have closed the doors to a long list of Houston bars and nightclubs since the middle of 2025. Mayor John Whitmire said there would be zero tolerance for those who don't follow safety and health guidelines. One bar owner found himself as a target 2 weeks ago. Nate Aguirre, owner of Rabbit's Got the Gun, was shut down but refused to stay quiet on social media. As a result, the city admitted they shut his bar down by mistake. Now Nate is fighting to keep other bars from being shut down by the city and educating owners on how to fight back. Tonight, we share Nate's journey here on The Factor. So, Nate, you guys, business as usual last Friday. And then what happens here?
We get an annual inspection. They come in. Usually they come in with health, TABC. You know, they check and make sure everything's up to code. And they come in, about 15 deep. They don't do that to Landry's, Papa Steve. They don't do that to the big people who lobby and give them millions of dollars.
So like a raid?
Almost felt like a raid, right? We got every seat in this bar is full. They come in 15 deep with cops and badges. About 8:30 p.m., 9 p.m. And so it's a yearly inspection. They come in and they say, hey, we're going to close you down. So we say, okay, is it about the crawfish? No, you need a permit. The permit costs $50. That's not what it is. They use loopholes to shut down businesses right now. We're not the only one. We had a 5-foot by 5-foot closet in the back.
That's in the back?
In the back. The customers can't see. None of us in this room can see it. It's a danger to nobody. It was already finished. The plans were approved. And they said, hey, your building permit expired. That voided your occupancy. We're shutting you down on the spot. They illegally shut us down. You cannot lose your occupancy for following the rules and pulling a permit. And, you know, the public needs to hear about this, and the highest powers need to investigate this. And there needs to be a change in the bureaucracy of the city, because they're taking entrepreneurship spirit away from this city. This is Hustle Town. This is Houston. This is where you can get it out the mud and make something out of nothing. And they're taking that from us. Over $50 permits, $100 permits, and it's just bureaucracy loopholes shutting down small business.
And over the so-called $50 permits, how much did you lose in business here?
We lost about between $25,000 to $30,000, and we've kept our staff here, paying them. So, you know, we've lost a lot of money. And then the mental aspect of going through all of this, and, you know, at first we call and say, hey, how do we get back open? They're rude to me on the phone. They're hanging up on me playing games. What happens is there's a weekend crew that does these inspections. Mm-hmm. So when they shut you down on Monday, you call people who don't even know who they are.
It's not in the system yet.
It's in the system, but the week workers don't know the weekend workers. Mm-hmm. All they know is the complaints that they're getting off of all the businesses that are being shut down. You know, they're asking for businesses to have a grease trap, which costs $15,000 to $20,000 to put a lime on your drink. You don't need a grease trap at your house to have lemons in your fridge. To have milk at your house and pour it down the drain, you don't need a grease trap. Here, if you have milk in your coffee, you need a grease trap. Like I said, they're taking the entrepreneurial spirit out of local business owners. And Houston's still a very, very affordable town where somebody with a little bit of money can come up and build a brand and make something of themselves. And they're taking that from us, you know?
But after waiting almost a week, going on social media, you got some good news. Tell us about that good news.
Well, yesterday I figured out through talking to the building inspectors and talking to people that we were shut down wrongfully, and they sent a senior fire marshal out that, you know, went up to my brother and he says, hey man, hey, we're sorry, good luck. Good luck to you. Mm-hmm. Take that off. And leaves. Here goes my number. So that tells me that...
That's it?
That's it. The fire marshal that shut us down is abusing her power and using loopholes to shut down small business. And, you know, something needs to be done about it. And I'm not going to give up until someone's held accountable or there's a change in this city, you know?
And so how do you take it forward?
Next week, I'm going to go speak at Town Hall. I'm registered to speak at Town Hall. And, you know, I'm going to find out how we can be compensated or how something can be done to where this system can be monitored by superiors better, where people are not losing their livelihoods because we feed our children off of these businesses.
And you are not the only nightclub bar that's been shut down in like the last year.
No.
There's been a long list of them, right?
Yeah. Since making these posts, a lot of club owners, a lot of bar owners have reached out, and they've come forward to me, and some of them have sued and won, and you know, there's loopholes with the sound ordinances. If I have a sound meter and a car drives by, that makes that sound meter go off, and they can take your sound permit, and they can come, the HPD nightclub task force can come bully you and give you ticket after ticket.
What do you think this is about? What do you think this is all about?
I believe they're trying to shut down small business before FIFA comes, and at this point, it's really obvious what's going on, you know? It's, you can't deny that small local community businesses are under attack right now.
Do you think you would be open today if it weren't for all the noise you made on social media?
No, I don't think I'd be open. I don't think I'd be open this Friday. We plan on reopening. I don't think that would be happening if we didn't have the platform that y'all have given us and our patrons and the people that support us. I don't think we'd be open. I think we would lost hundreds, maybe went out of business. Yeah, I think.
What
maybe
advice would you have for other small bars, mom and pop bars and nightclubs around town that may not have the wherewithal to move forward like you and get on social media and make noise?
Come find me.
You do it for him?
Find Isiah. Find Isiah. He's for the people. And just use your platform and go ask questions. Educate yourself because it's nothing to. There's some helpful people with the city as well. They're not all bad. They're abusing their power. And at that, it's illegal what they're doing. It's illegal. It's sad to see locals putting locals out of business, you know? So if you're attacked, just speak up and just be heard. Find a way to get heard.
And welcome back to the Factor Uncensored. It's almost prom season, a big moment for so many students, but for some, the cost can turn the excitement into a nightmare. Tonight, an international beauty queen is stepping in, Dr. Minashi Ravi, making sure students can show up with confidence, dignity, and joy. She's back with her second annual Dream Big, inspiring the next generation prom dress drive, helping students get the attire they need for a night they'll never forget. And it's about more than just dresses. It's about making sure every student feels seen, supported, and celebrated. Joining us now here on The Factor, Dr. Minashi Ravi, former recipient, Kia and Kamala, and fashion designer Kareem Lakani. Glad to have you all here on The Factor Uncensored. So first of all, glad to have you here. It's an honor. You brought the crown and all.
Yes. It was quite intentional, honestly, because I believe every crown has a purpose. I want to make that register that it's not just about winning or physical beauty. What you're doing with that platform matters. So I intentionally wore this crown today to make that impact.
And you're also inspiring a bunch of young ladies out there like the ones that you've helped here. How important is it giving back and making sure they enjoy at least this one night, a major night in their lives at the beginning of their lives?
Can I tell you a small story?
Sure, go ahead.
So I was raised in India. My mother country is India. We don't have a concept like prom when I did my schoolings. There's no concept like we do like a farewell. That's pretty much it. When I came to US, like how you get impressed with the cultures and everything, that one thing which fascinated me to hear more about a prom story. Then I saw some movies and everything, how that night matters a lot, and you prepare the whole year to glam up and you show the best and you have the best evening because you put your hard work, didn't you? You sweat and you have your dedication, hard work, and that one day is just to have a fun day and memorable, lifelong, ever to go back and see how it was, right? So I really understood the meaningful of that particular night, the day that you spend with your schools, with your lovable ones. So in some way, I would like to make an opportunity for those teens who are not able to make that special for that night. When you talked about giving back, just to give a small perspective of my opinion on that, giving back is not about donating lump sum money or anything. It's about if you're able to change or give hope, just a hope in someone's life in any form, maybe a hug, maybe a smile, if you're able to change that, that is giving back.
All right, and that's what you're doing here. And of course, you two young ladies have benefited. Tell us what it was like to get the dress as a previous recipient and be allowed to go to prom in style.
Well, it was a very huge honor. I felt like I took the spotlight, and it made me feel very, very honored that Dr. Mina really gave me the chance to really shine that night.
Yes, I want to say a really big thank you to Dr. Mina and Trailblazer Queen Productions and the Dream Big. This meant more to me than you'll ever know. Getting an opportunity to be this blessed in my life like this was absolutely crazy. And being able to inspire and help younger girls who don't have the money necessarily to go to prom it makes me feel like a better person.
And Kareem, these don't look like straight off the rack dresses. It looks like a lot of work went into them. Tell us a little bit about the design and how you came to come up with some of these looks and why it's important that you participate as well.
So I think they've summed everything up. How blessed are we, right? So Valencia Couture not only has its own brand, but we carry other brands as well. And to put different brands on each different girl gives a hope, gives them to really shine and come out and show what they're all about. And that's what Valencia Couture is all about. We have different brands, Porsche Designs, we have La Divine, we have Luscious D, and it creates a different look for each different girl, and it just brings out the beauty. One dress at a time.
Let's have some of them step out really quick, guys, if we can get a shot of this as they walk out. And for those, Dr. Ravi, who would like to help, that's the importance of getting people involved. Where can they go to get involved to help these young ladies get their dresses for prom?
Definitely. This year we are going directly to the school. Next Friday, we are going to North Cyprus School, and then we are just doing the donations. Anybody who's willing to take part of this great impact and create a change of any teens, please email us or get hold of us in the Instagram, trailblazer_queen_productions. It's our Instagram. And email address would be trailblazerqueenproductions@gmail.com.
Okay, and there's the information there on the screen once again. And what's the deadline? How soon do they need to take action as they look at this information?
So the good thing is, even last year, we had a lot of leftover proms from the different schools, so we distributed afterwards also. So it is nothing called deadline. So if you're able to give it before Friday, this goes directly to the North Cyprus school. And if you're not, if I still receive the donations after that, we still go ahead, and we have a lot of schools connected with us, so we just distribute it offline. So there's nothing called deadline.
Okay. And Kareem, tell us some of the styles that you have here for those who are wondering. Start in the back there and go on over.
So we have a sweetheart neck with the cape, with the diamond cape that brings out
Hollywood glamour.
Exactly, exactly. And then we have a sequence, which is a Porsche style, gold and black, masquerade look. Gives it a very sleek look with the one shoulder. And then we have the feathers, loved by everyone, with the sleeves. Usually with the sleeves, it gives it a very intricate look.
Okay, we got time for one more. Bring on Josephine Baker out here.
And then we have a La Divine brand also with the coral color, very colorful for the event that you're going to. It brings it out. It makes a statement. That's what Valencia Couture is all about, making a statement.
We want to thank you guys for joining us here on the Factor
Thank you.
Uncensored, and great job for all that you do for the community. We appreciate, out of time, but we appreciate you. And of course, we'll be back with more Factor Uncensored. Is it 2, 1? Yeah. And welcome back to the Factor Uncensored. We want to remind you to follow us on our new YouTube page at Isiah Factor Uncensored, and of course on social media. You can catch us there. Most importantly, go to that new YouTube page at Isiah Factor Uncensored, and don't forget Fox Soul. Thank you for joining us here on the Factor. That'll do it for us. Northside High School this Friday.